Hello and welcome, friends. Today we are going to talk about the oceans. So, when it comes to the oceans, we're going to talk a lot about the animals that live in the oceans, but we're also going to talk about there are lots of different kinds of oceans. Kind of weird. Got here, boom, map of the world. There's Africa, Asia, Australia, and there is the United States. That's where we live. Boom. So we are next to one ocean over here, and there's one ocean over here too. But that's next to us. There are other oceans in the world too. If you go way up high, right way up north, you get to the Arctic Ocean. And the Arctic Ocean is, we know, like the North Pole is super cold. So that's where lots of cold animals like to live. We call them cold animals, but they keep themselves warm really well. Like polar bears or even narwhals are a type of whale, and they live in the ocean in the Arctic. So along with that, and so we have the Arctic Ocean. Next to us, we have two oceans. The oceans that we have are called, this one's by California, it's called the Pacific Ocean. And that's where Hawaii is in the Pacific Ocean. And Japan is in the Pacific Ocean. Lots of ocean here. Pacific. Can you say it after me? Pacific. We have the Arctic. We have the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is a pretty important one in our history of our world because the Atlantic Ocean, people sailed all the way from Europe all the way over to the United States. And that's how people came here, the people that we know today. Some people have already been here, but lots of people traveled over across the ocean to get here. So we have the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Arctic. Then we have the Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean is named after the country that's right above it, India. Indian Ocean. There are other bodies of water all around the world, but let's just stick with those for right now. So when it comes to those oceans, there's lots of life that lives in the oceans. I mean, you know what those are dolphins, and then on the back of this book, we have some penguins too. Penguins are actually really good swimmers, and they also live in the Arctic area too. They love being in the cold. All right. So I want to share with you a little bit about those oceans. We have oceans all over the world, and each ocean is a little bit different. In places that are warmer, we find that there are lots of animals that like it being in warm water. As you get deeper and deeper into the ocean, you find weirder and weirder animals because they don't see sunlight really. If you've watched Octonauts, that's as a popular show for lots of people, Octonauts talks a lot about different animals that you would find in the oceans. So I want to share with you several pictures. We're going to talk about them together. And so I'm going to share my screen and hope you see some cool stuff. I'm going to make my the slide extra big for you. There we go. There we go. Hope you can see it really well. So we have the Dumbo octopus. We have some of those things at the bottom there are steam or volcanic vents. That means that if you go deep enough underwater, you'll eventually hit some land that the water is resting on top. So we got all this water, and then there's land at the bottom, and then that land actually has a couple holes in it. And the holes let off steam that is made from volcanoes underwater. There are volcanoes underwater. And lots of animals actually like being there because volcanoes are really hot. And if you get really, really low underwater, really deep, it gets colder and colder and colder. And so eventually it's really nice if you spend time at this volcano spot, because then you get warm. You get warmed up all over again. I'm gonna go back and share with you some other weird animals. If you've seen the movie Finding Nemo or Finding Dory, then you know that there are lots of weird animals in the ocean. We got to see in Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, we got to see the sharks. They got swallowed by a whale. They got to see lots of jellyfish. They got to meet a pelican. They got to meet a pufferfish. So many different kinds of animals that live in the ocean. When it comes to the ocean, we've got lots of different levels. Kind of weird. You can think of it like a really big hotel, really big house where lots of different animals live. On the very top floor of this ocean levels is where they get sunlight. The very top. We know that. That makes sense, right? The sunlight can only get so far down. And so lots of animals that live at the top, those are like dolphins. We know that dolphins like to swim and get out of the waves and come back in. And same with turtles. They got to come up to breathe every so often. Same with some kinds of whales also are really big and they need to breathe air. Not every animal breathes air. Some animals don't need to come up to the ocean, to the top of the ocean. Some animals just like spending time down below. So once you get from that sunlight zone, that's the official name for it, the sunlight zone, then you get down and you hit the twilight zone. And then from the twilight zone, you hit the midnight zone. And underneath that midnight zone is the abyssal zone, where things are extra dark. Being extra dark isn't so bad, I promise. Being extra dark just kind of means that some animals have to learn to live without seeing as much, which is totally fine. We have so from the top zone, we can see some layers. So we have lots of animals in the coral reef, got our dolphins, some sharks. And as we get deeper, some animals get extra crazy. We have the giant squid. Do you see how big that thing is? Oh my gosh. We have those fish that can glow in the dark. That way they can see where each other are. We have gulper eels. Those are extra weird. I want to show you a couple of videos of some other weird underwater animals. Some of my favorites. So these are some GIFs. GIFs means they're like moving videos. They're like only 7 seconds long, maybe. So this one is called the Dumbo octopus, and it's so tiny. It's one of the tiniest octopuses because it's not a baby octopus. It's actually, that's how big it gets. Octopuses are born out of tiny eggs, and they're about the size of the top of your pinky. They can be super tiny, but this one is fully grown. Really weird. All right, from the Dumbo octopus. Dumbo octopus lives really deep down. And this one, I hope you get to see this one. This one is called the feather starfish. Feather stars. It is somehow a weird animal that's just made up of a bunch of feathers that are all flopping about, and it actually moves. Kind of weird. They come in all sorts of different colors too. You can see kind of this one is white and black. Let me make that one's a lot bigger. There. The little white and black ones, they come in red. They come in all sorts of colors. All right, from that one, let's move on to this one. This one is called a sea dragon. This sea dragon, I know you think, what is that? That's just like a floating thing. But not floating, it's just there. A sea dragon is really close to a seahorse. Seahorses and sea dragons look really similar. Sea dragons have a couple of extra pieces that kind of come off of them, but and they don't swim the same way as seahorses do, but they are, I think, equally majestic and beautiful. So they are another weird animal that lives in the ocean. I know we say the word sea dragon, but I don't think that they can really, breathe fire or anything like that. That would be kind of silly. We have way down deep some bioluminescent fish. Can you say bioluminescent? Bioluminescent. Bioluminescent means that they have inside of them the ability to glow. Just like fireflies or lightning bugs, those can glow, and so can these. And we know that fireflies glow so that they can see each other in the night, and they can make friends with each other back and forth. And that's how they can get to be friends during the summertime, is when they come out and then they glow and then they find each other, and that makes their lives a lot easier. And so do these fish. These fish do the same thing. Kind of cool. They glow so that they can talk to each other. After that one, we have one of my favorites. This one's called the vampire squid. Vampire squid lives way down deep, and it doesn't suck your blood or anything like that. But what it does have is two fins on its head, and when it curls up, it's got tentacles that are webbed together. And instead of suckers on their tentacles, like in the way that octopuses have, these vampire squids have spikes, so that when something scary comes, they just put their arms up and they show off all of their spikes, and then nothing wants to eat them, because then you're just eating something really spiky, and it's probably not going to taste very good. All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So I hope you got to see some weird, cool animal. If I know you didn't get to spend too much time staring at it, you can always go backwards in our video so that you can pause at any point in time and look at some of my favorites. I hope you like them. We're going to spend the next chunk of time together in science. We're going to look at do some water activities and learn about aquatic life. Aquatic means water. There you go. Thanks for looking at water life with me. It's one of my favorite subjects, and I hope that you remember that I love taking care of sea turtles too. So I love this stuff. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I'm excited to get into this with you. All right. Thank you, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.